Welcome to Forward Watch, the leadership podcast for the superyacht industry. I'm your host, Karine Rayson, the director of the Crew Coach. Whether you're a head of department, a seasoned captain, or an ambitious junior crew member ready to step up, this is the space where we have real conversations about what it takes to lead with confidence, empathy, and impact in one of the world's most demanding industries. Hello, everyone. You're with Karine Rayson, the director of the Crew Coach on the Forward Watch Leadership Podcast. Today, I have one of the directors, Liam of Wilson Halligan, who will be talking about how you can propel your career within the superyacht industry. Come and join me and dive into this podcast to get the most tangible and practical tips that you may ever hear. Lovely to have you here, Liam.
Thank you for the invite. We'd love to go on this journey with you. How can we help?
Let's dive in. We're talking about professional development within the industry. It's been a topic that has been discussed quite widely the past week for me, and there will be a couple of points that I'd like to get some feedback on. The first is whether we should have a training budget for crew and how we can best utilize that budget. So I had a crew member contact me, and she was saying she's actually signed up to my 3-month leadership course.
Brilliant.
And she's struggling to get through it because she is so exhausted. And I know that professionals are saying, well, if you've got rotation, use that time well and study. But who knows what person, each individual's personal experience is. So I'm just my thoughts were, why can't we have study leave on top of it? But I don't know if the industry would support that. Then I've heard a captain say that non-rotational crew get study leave, but I'm not too sure if this has been formalized and it's an actual thing.
Well, my background's commercial shipping, so we always had in our contracts study leave because they wanted us to remain in the business. They wanted us to develop from second mates, third mates, chief mates. So it was part and parcel. We have seen it in some of the big commercial vessels where they've given time for people to go off and get their next COCs, whether it's unpaid or paid or part paid or they pay for the courses. Every crew member we're talking to now is, when they're asking about the terms, they're asking for crew packages, training packages. And some boats are putting in between 500 to even 3,000-4,000 euros a year for crew members. And this is a brilliant thing to see because we can see that the second mates, chief mates are getting trained in leadership or personal development to then become better leaders later. And even captains are spending it on themselves to train themselves better. Mm-hmm. Every boat should really be trying to push to have a package for development, whether it be safety training or even personal development.
So the 3,000 to 4,000 euros, is that per crew member or per
crew member? Yeah.
Oh,
per crew member.
Great.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's been some massive changes over the last couple of years.
Okay.
And crew members are turning down jobs because there's no training budget.
Fascinating.
To do your officer watch yacht could be potential 15 to 20,000 euros worth of courses. And if a boat's paying a little bit towards that, or they know they're going to give you time off in the off season, it's a big attraction. And that person will then hopefully remain loyal to the boat based on the fact they've been given some time and some money to go and do the training. Mm. We're seeing things like some of the boats will pay half the course.
Yes.
And then they'll pay the second half in 6 months, which I get fully because then there's not a huge investment up front for them.
Mm. Mm. Okay, so in the MLC, it does say that there should be a training budget. However, it's for mandatory courses.
Yes. Yep. Most of the contracts with crew members expect them to do their own SCW refreshers at their own cost. Mm-hmm. But if a boat needs, say, helicopter training and there's helicopters on board, the boat should be paying for those courses. If a crew member's on leave and trying to develop better, they will go and pay for those own courses. Mm-hmm. But things like rope access courses for deckhands should be paid for by the vessel. So there will be an element of training, but individual training ones are ship and yacht specific.
Okay. How have you grown yourself as, you know, not only as a director, leader within an organization, but when you were working as crew?
So the company I worked for originally, Maersk, was a huge founder of personal development. They would often send us on junior officer training courses to make us better leaders, ship handling courses. Basically, the world was your oyster, and you were always given the time back on your leave to go and train. So almost every leave, I'd go and do some sort of simulator course. And there was some sort of course on even paint. Spent 3 days literally watching paint dry, so that we knew how to apply paint better. And it was there if you wanted it. If you didn't want to do it, you wanted to spend your leave, you leave. But it was always depending on how you wanted to progress with the business. The training was there if you wanted it. And now within yachting, we're seeing hundreds and hundreds of companies every year with really niche training. So the options are there for crew members. It's whether they can afford it or want it. We see people coming into yachting that know they're only going to do 3 years. So they will only spend the minimum requirements. The ones that are going to be in there for 10 years are coming to us, or even people like yourself, saying, what can I do to make my CV and be better as a person? So we are seeing loads and loads of developments. And it's just the educational piece of what they can learn.
So what courses do you think should be mandatory that are not?
Tricky one. I would love to see almost everybody do the advanced SCCW. The basic teaching you how to firefight. It's only a half-day course. There's only so much you can. The advanced firefighting is a brilliant course, and it's going to make everybody feel a little bit safer on board. Things like the advanced first aid. I know that it's part of the guest training scheme for the interior to go and do the advanced first aid course, but I really think everybody should do it. There's so many likelihoods of accidents on board a boat that if everyone can do that bit more than just grab a first aid kit and put a plaster on it creates a better, safer environment for the guests and also for your crewmates. They're ones I'd love to see more people do. It is expensive courses, and week here and there. In terms of like helm and helm operation management, the average courses, it depends how they're delivered. If there was something a little bit more comprehensive later, great. I would like to see chief engineers do some sort of project management. Yacht captains that are looking to move ashore, they could be surveying. I went away a couple of years ago and became a chartered manager. So I went back, trying to find myself a basic student again. And I also did a degree in business management because it was a case of like, I know what I can do. And then one of the first journeys was self-reflection. Yeah. And if someone can actually sit down and learn what they do know, what they don't know, then they can build a building block on what to learn next. And I think everybody should do that journey. And it ties in really well to, if you're doing somebody's appraisal, do a self-reflection, get them to do like a 360 appraisal. And then they can find out what they need and then develop them onwards and add the building blocks. It's a long journey and people have to adapt to it.
Yeah, and it's also your mindset around it. And going back to the story you shared earlier, and I'd love you to share it again, about the ego or God complex. I got my COC. What more do I need to know? And I'm sure there are many more people that may think like that. So if you can give us that insight to the detriments of actually thinking like that.
Yeah, so many people, I got my first COC. I was on a power trip. I thought I knew everything. Bossing around the bosun who'd been at sea for 25 years, knew far more than me. And you just create a horrible environment. As soon as you study, you get COC, you think you can go on the bridge, you can navigate, you can do this, you can do that. You realize you've only just got another bit more experienced, or you've got qualified, but you've got zero experience. So I spent 3 years as a cadet, then got the first COC, thought I knew it all, got a stripe on my shoulder. And you make mistakes because you kind of overinflate your ego. I can do that. And then when you realize people are obviously trying to steer you in the right direction, or you go, I don't know how to do that. Can you show me? You then build a better bond. But we see it quite regularly. People will then go on a second mate, start bossing around a bosun.
Yes.
Creates a rift on board. And I had no management skills. Not until 2 years down the line, Maersk sent me on a junior officer training course based on leadership management. But it was more about how to manage up and down. So how to get the best out of the chief officer from me, and how to be the best mate for the chief mate. And it was a real sort of clever way to making sure I was better at my job, that I could communicate upwards and also get the best of the deck team. And I took that on later in life, thinking actually you're better off saying I don't know, rather than just assuming you've done the training and you know it because I've got a qualification that is a certificate of competency, but I still don't know everything. And it was a real quick learning curve when someone went, "You're doing that really badly." But yeah, you have to then just go, okay, what's next?
Yeah. And I also love how you pointed out self-leadership and the importance of self-leadership. I believe you cannot lead others unless you learn about yourself first.
Yep.
And also understanding difference, because we assume that everyone thinks like us and should act like us. And when they don't, that's where conflict can start to develop. So it's learning, probably first accepting difference and learning how to navigate difference so you can understand the other, motivate and engage.
And on my journey of self-reflection, I did a personality test called 16PF, and it's an online that everyone can do. I ranked really highly utilitarian. And when I look at the results, I didn't really know what they were. And then someone decoded those results for me to say, your mindset is, you don't really care about others, which when you see it on paper is really harsh.
Yeah.
And it's the difference of like going walking up to somebody and saying, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done that? Whereas that's to someone else that might be a sledgehammer. But what it should be is, how are you? How's your day? Do you need any help? Where are you with this? Changing how you communicate with others and showing them how you want to be communicated with was a massive life journey. And it's something somebody can do straight away, but you have to get it decoded by an expert. Now, I know you specialize in this. So if someone does a profiling with you and then getting what the feedback is, not just looking at your scores and your numbers, but actually getting a proper personality test decoded to show what you are. And you can do it then 2 years later and you will be a different person, knowing how you can develop. And it's an eye-opening experience to do that self-reflection. And I really recommend everyone does it.
It's nothing to be afraid of. It's more of a Bible or even a step up and to learn yourself about yourself and how to lead others. And it's just a way to fast track that process as well, because the results are all on a piece of paper. And by no means is it designed to put you down. It's designed to support you in your leadership journey. So yeah, there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of.
And when I first did it, I actually showed it with the team. And I was cards on the table. This is who I am, how I am. And people then kind of understand, you might not walk into a room and say good morning to everybody. And they understand you might not be social or humanitarian. But when you learn to do that, you then get better out of the team. And it is experience. And I think loads of captains can benefit it. And there's loads of captains talking about what books they're reading on self-management and how to develop better. And I know there's a couple of online forums talking about sharing information, which books people should be reading. And that's all modern books. The guys at Netflix and things like that have developed books. And it's more about managing the next generation and new people.
Correct.
And it's great to see, it's not just people saying about our younger captains are doing this. Every captain across the board who's developing onwards are doing it. And it's not just the new captains. It's even some of the older generation ones. I'm having loads of brilliant conversations with them about how they're getting best of younger people by reading new books or learning new ways.
Where is the circle of awesome captains? Where are they hanging out?
There's an online forum with it's Colin Squire's Captain's Forum.
Okay.
It's got the name. Sorry.
I'll have a look at it.
Yeah. Superyachtcaptains.com. Yeah.
Superyachtcaptains.com. Okay.
Yeah.
As a recruiter, what makes a standout candidate for you?
It's a tricky one. It's all based on the personality that the owners asked for. So when we're talking to owners, and we try to profile some owners, which didn't really work. They're saying, I want a captain who's X, Y, Z. We're trying to match that captain to them. And it's we've got 400, 500 boats in our books. There's 6,000 odd boats. Every requirement is slightly different. We might have one great captain that can go to one boat, but he can't go to another boat. So it's a hard question, that one. And there's no exact answer because they're just such different requirements. And when more we can burrow into what an owner wants, some owners want, that old school professionalism, safety is paramount. Some of the owners now are more interactive with the crew, especially some of the new US owners, where it has to be a great environment from minute one, where everybody's smiling, everyone's happy. But we've still got the more traditional, where they'll want, almost a white gloved experience, and the crew members won't interact. They're there as service team, whereas some of the other yachts, they will almost be part of the social atmosphere on board. So real hard question, that one.
Yeah. Okay. So then when it comes to qualifications, going back to professional development, are you more drawn to a candidate that has gone over and beyond from a professional development capacity?
Yep. There's a conversation often, or the term is often adding strings to their bow. When we look at, we've got 3,000 master, 3,000 COCs. How do you differentiate? Then you look at their experience, and then some of them have gone and got additional qualifications in ISM auditing or surveying, or well, it could be anything really. Some of them are talking to people like yourself. They've done your course, other courses to try and develop themselves. So when you're looking at the fuller picture, a COC is standard now. It's the what else. People are doing degrees in the background in maritime operations or environmental studies. So it's always that, well, what's the extra bit? And it is a tough market for captains in particular. It's just that next thing, really.
I think very important to consider, because obviously the market is flooded with crew looking for jobs. So it's about how can you create that standout compared to other candidates. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the full package. Are they prepared to write a brilliant cover letter? Is their CV best showcasing themselves? And, you can have the best captain in the world has a one-page CV. When you look at the top 5 captains, so all they need to do is list the boats, and then you only need to know their name in the marketplace to know that they're one of the best ones, But the rest of it is how they present. Some of them are doing videos, so they've got a video CV. And owners are looking for that, because sometimes we can send it straight to an owner and they get a feel before they go fall down the line of a video interview or a personal interview. It's how prepared is somebody to do that little bit more.
Yes.
And even captains are putting together portfolios of itineraries. There's all sorts of additional ways and means that a captain can showcase themselves. Yeah.
So does Wilson Halligan provide some sort of mentorship or coaching to their clients?
We do. To the best of our limited abilities, in terms of we're only here so much and we've got so many candidates, but we love to give feedback on CVs, and apologies if some people have had feedback from me and it's brutal, like go and rewrite it. Well, I won't do CV rewrites entirely, but I'll say, when I interview somebody, I'll say, by the way, you talked about you've dismissed crew, you've developed crew, it's not in your CV. Or you're dealing with 20 crew on board, but you've actually got 35 crew because your rotation. It's not in your CV. So you're not managing 20, you're managing 35. And I'll highlight areas that they'll talk about naturally. And it is always a hard thing to sell yourself on a CV.
Yeah.
But there's better ways of doing it. We've had a couple of captains I've pointed towards ChatGPT.
Yes.
To redraft, not rewrite, not write for them, but redraft their CV. Their personal statement is, I can drive a boat. When you look at
generic. Yeah.
Very generic. Yeah. I wrote an article about captains are now CEOs. They're not boat drivers. Captains will drive the boat maybe 5-10% of their time. If not, the chief officer's chasing that for that maneuvering skills. But the captain should be a leader, manager, finance manager, HR manager, all those skills that they generally don't put on their CV. They might talk about a refit, but do they talk about it as a project management? Do they list how much the refit was? I know there's confidentiality, but managing a €500 refit compared to a £2.5 million refit is quite a different thing.
Yes.
Because the refit might be 3 months or it might be 12 months.
Yeah.
Are they managing a shadow boat? Are they managing the house ashore? And sometimes they say, I do all this stuff naturally. And you go, well, you're now an asset manager as well as a captain. It's self-reflection, as we talked about earlier. Sometimes they don't sit down and go, what am I good at? Am I putting down management? Am I brilliant at itineraries? Can I manage this? And That's kind of consultancy stuff we do quite quickly and quite regularly. But mentoring, we've done mentoring in the past. I've done it for people doing the Officer of Watch Cadets. Yeah. I had a mentor from the Master Mariner Society. We're trying to give that back. But we'll always give as much advice on CVs as we physically can. And again, it's something that we're trying to do time-wise. Speaking to a chief officer yesterday that hasn't changed his CV since his deckhand, but he's added boats over the last 4 or 5 years. And it's like, no one cares what you did 6 years ago as a deckhand because you're now a chief mate with a master's ticket. So you now need to talk about what you like as a manager, how can you develop, can you run tender operations, can you do beach setups? And it was only and he looks at CVs all the time of deckhands, but he didn't look at his own CV until now. So it's only when we say your CV is terrible. And I often have written, don't go and pay for your CV to be rewritten, but sometimes it is a need because people don't write particularly well or they can't do the structure that they should be doing. Yeah. So the CV professional writing is a business and it is out there and it does give you a good base. And I recommend it can be done and then use it as a building block for your CV.
Sure. Yeah. I think, again, it's just picking out those unique skill sets that you have. What I find in CVs, it's so, again, generic. It's just listing out the responsibilities. I'm like, but how different to anyone else? Like, okay, you led a team, but what did that look like? Like, how were you able to be successful in that role and effective? So it's fleshing those aspects out. And I agree with ChatGPT. It's highlighting your key points and asking it to refine it.
Yep. And it also changes the vocabulary. So people might say, I did this, but having a better terminology, better wording, and you're sending it to an owner who could be the CEO of a multi-billion pound company, it then presents better just because you've used a better diction of better terminology. And it is hard because I think the average time we look at a CV, according to statistics, is only about 7 or 8 seconds. So if someone's looking, I know it's crazy. And so we look at a CV and we're on to the next one. I'll run a search, we'll come up with 100 people. I can be through that search within 5 minutes. So I've literally glanced at a CV.
Okay, because we're talking about CVs. Curious to know, do you prefer Canva templates or your stock standard Word document or PDF document?
That's a great question. I'm less is more. I'm a big fan of white space on CVs, so clear space, well structured. The Canvas format, it's a big thing. It's coming really quickly, and it can give great graphics. And I personally don't like those graphics because people will put a sliding scale that they're 7 out of 10 on project management. Yeah. You've already given yourself a negative.
Right. Yeah.
Or you've rated yourself for leadership, and that can only be viewed as a negative. Yeah. Whereas take that out, talk about it better, script it well. Even really well scripted bullet points are better than some of the fancy graphics. It's some people put their boats on CV. It's great, provided it doesn't make it too long. But sometimes less is more. Yeah. The Canva format's brilliant. Even some of the standard Microsoft Word formats are really clean. And
I prefer Microsoft Word, as you said. It's just cleaner. It's less distracting to the eye, and you have more space to sell yourself.
Yeah. And when you're looking at hundreds of CVs, or even if we've sent somebody 10 CVs, and you get one that's like got bright red text, or it can be really distracting without people knowing. You almost comes into unconscious bias by looking at a CV going, I don't like that. And then people turn it away, and you might have the best CV in the pack, but because the graphics are loud and horrible, someone's just turned it away. Yeah. But if you've got a nice CV, black text, white space in the background, the photos, obviously another conversation, which I don't want to get to. But everything's really laid out, really good narrative at the top, really good narrative of what you've done for the last couple of years. Even the skill sections are brilliant avenue to try and showcase what you like. Yeah. But when you add graphics and shadings, it can really distract from the actual content.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you.
Lovely question. Yeah, tough
Liam,
question too.
so good talking to you. I know that
Pleasure.
we will have many more conversations. There's so much to talk about. And yeah, in terms, I had a talk with Nicola, as you would have known, yesterday.
Yes, yeah.
And what resources do you have available for crew?
We've got an extensive catalogue of blogs on our website.
Fantastic. Okay.
So there's a little search area there. If you want to learn about coming ashore, if you want to learn about getting started in deck, there's a sliding search function in there. So have a look at our blogs. There's blogs about finance. That's one of our biggest reads. How to look after your finances, how to get the best, become the best engineer, how to become a purser. All the blogs are in there. Also, we've got extensive amounts of experience in the office. I'm dead honest with everybody. You can write my yachting experience on a stamp, but I've got commercial experience. I've gone through commercial tickets. I've done through the RWA tickets. I've also gone through personal development through the charter manager scheme. And then we've got 7 or 8 people here who've all been on yachts for extensive amounts of time, all different positions. Just give us a call. We've got access to certain people who've doing additional skills. So if you want to do a helicopter course, we'll know somebody. You might even get a Wilson Halligan discount or something like that.
Yeah.
All to make sure that we're offering the best service in terms of, go and do your training here because it's a great school. And we go to those schools. We don't just recommend people willy-nilly. We've seen the schools, we've seen the lecturers, we know them well enough to go, that's a good place to do your training. And like the relationship we've got with you, come and learn with you, go and speak to you for advice. Captains are often phone for advice of what to do if they're stressed. We're not professionals. We've done the mental health first aid courses, but it's just okay, go and talk to that person. Even things like, I'll go and talk to this person at flag. Yeah. So we're signposts. And that's what we can offer as a consultancy. People will go, phone us up. What are your views on this? Should I do this course? And throughout Nicola and I have been business owners 10 years this year.
Wow.
So we've placed 1,000 candidates. We've spoken to tens of thousands of people. Tap into our knowledge. And, we're always answer the phone. Ask a question, you try and get an answer, or we'll ask around. A girl I met years ago texted me yesterday and said, I've lost my seaman's discharge book. What do I do? It could have been Googled. Quite happy to come to me. I said, actually, you need to just go to the MCA in Southampton and they'll sort it out.
Yeah.
Those kind of relationships and tap into the knowledge that we've built and learned over the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, that's great because just my sense and feel after meeting yourself and Nicola, you are an organization that certainly cares about crew. And I know it sounds cliched about the family feel, but I certainly get that from you guys. So it's been wonderful to have that conversation. I do hope crew reach out to you.
Please do. Yeah. Build a relationship with the recruiter. As Nicola might have mentioned yesterday, we've got relationships with people we've met over the years. We've gone to their weddings. I know most of their kids. I'm actually meeting 2 guys I was at sea with for lunch today years back. They're both on yachts, and it's that relationship with the recruiter that can help you later on.
Yeah. Fantastic, Liam. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. No worries. Absolute pleasure. Love to speak to you.
Likewise.